So, good morning, guys. Welcome to our session in here for today. I hope all of you guys are able to hear my voice clearly, right? So, Anvesh, Athira, Dinesh, Rajesh, Raju, everybody, good morning, guys. Can I get a small confirmation, guys, by any one of you in this part? I mean, is my screen visible? Is internet going good? Everything from the internet point of view going good?
Good morning, Pranav. You are audible.
Good morning, yes. So first of all, welcome guys to the session in here. And if you remember, we had a discussion that there would be total 4 sessions that I would be conducting for your batch. So the first session that was actually conducted in there, that first session was actually about creating an end-to-end predictive machine learning algorithm. So there was a data set called as bank.csv, and we created that data set. We downloaded that data set and we tried to create an end-to-end machine learning algorithms on that given data set. Obviously, I personally feel that 2 hours are not self-sufficient to, I mean, just take the data and create a predictive algorithm. It takes more than 2 years in some organizations to finalize the predictive ML algorithm. But with that being said, we just had a rough idea of what could be done. And obviously, if you remember, I gave you a lot of hints on that particular problem statement that this thing can be done, that thing can be done on the given data set. Right? So that is the first thing that I want all of you guys to be really clear with. Then the second session that we conducted, that second session was actually about SQL. So if you guys remember that SQL session, in that we actually went forward from writing the like creating a database, and then on that database there were some problem statements that we discussed. So I gave you some time. It was not like the ML one in which I would be coding. I would whatever is the logic that I think would be applied or could work well on that given data that we applied. In SQL, that is never the case. In SQL, there is a problem statement that comes up. So sorry, the first part in SQL is that there is a data set, there is a database, right? The most important part, if you want to excel in the field of SQL, that I have learned in 3 years, right? 2 years academics and 3 years corporate experience, like 5 years of SQL experience from beginner to the end point. Whatever I have learned in here is that SQL is like just understanding the things well. So you guys are involved in a course curriculum in which you will or you would always be taught that this is how joins are performed, this is how subqueries are done, this is how view is created, this is how functions are created. That is different thing. But that is not the preliminary step. I have seen a lot of people, they do not like in industry they have experience but they do not spend a good amount of time in getting acquainted with the ERD diagram. And to be honest with you, whenever you guys will work on SQL, you yourself will feel like I felt this particular part. I don't know whether I am the only one who felt it like this, but I felt that you should devote a sufficient amount of time in getting acquainted with the database first. I mean, what are the total tables that are available in the database? Then, what are the columns in each and every table? What are their exact names? Because you need to write their names when you're extracting the query, right? Then, what is the relationship? Most probably, whenever you will work, you will always work with relational databases in which all the tables in the given database will kind of have some relationship between them. So it is very important for you to get acquainted with the database first, and it is never happening in a single 1 hour, like or 1 minute or one day. It takes time. So whenever you will join a new company, believe me, the first 1 month that you will spend in that company would be just getting acquainted with the architecture of anything. I'm not only saying about SQL, of anything. You will be taking PT sessions, you will go through the scripts, you will go through the codes, like just getting acquainted with what that company, what that team is doing. That will take 1 to 2 months at least, I'm saying, right? So SQL is definitely something which was important. You can get an idea about the database that we created, the customers, orders, and all of that. Generally, I have seen that a lot of good examples can be found out on that particular section. E-commerce, because in e-commerce you can create separate dimensions table for orders, products, customers, and everything. Right. So that is the second thing that we discussed, and I hope that whatever are the problem statements that we discussed, whatever are the questions that we discussed, and whatever were the solutions that were given for those SQL queries, I think that should have given you a fair enough idea, or I personally think that those are logics would have helped you like anything in SQL, right? Next thing in here is that, to be honest with you, SQL and Python, right? Both of these two things are very important if you want to get a job in data science industry. And if you want to get a developer job, SQL alone or Python alone is sufficient. But if you want to get a data analyst job role, or if you want to get a data scientist job role, then SQL and Python combination is mandatory. Sometimes in some companies, they are working in with R as a tool rather than Python, R as a programming language in Python. But R is really simple. I have worked with both of them. At my current company, Edgewise, we are working with R. But gradually, there has been an order by our CTO that whatever are the new scripts that we will write for extracting the data, those are explicitly expected to be written in Python itself, not R. So gradually, there is a change in technology in our company that is happening from R to Python. Point number one. And point number two is that you are, we were like whatever are the existing queries, we are expected to shift those existing queries from R to Python gradually, right? Is this clear, guys? So Python, I personally feel will be more useful to each and every one of you rather than R, and Python SQL combination is like almost necessary. It is almost mandatory to survive in the data science industry. With that being said, there are certain other tools, data visualization tools like Power BI, Tableau. But what I have observed is that if you go into a job that is expecting you to work with Power BI, you will just work with Power BI. So SQL and Python will not interfere in there. I have observed this in the industry. So my second job role was actually a data associate data analyst job role, in which I was just working on AWS website, which was like a replacement for Tableau in the company. I was shifting the dashboards which were already created in Tableau to AWS website. So what I want all of you guys to understand in here is that one programming language, one database language, and one data visualization tool like Power BI or Tableau, it is more than sufficient for you to excel in the field of data science, right? Another thing in here is that it may happen because there are a lot of learners, a lot of people who are enrolled in here. It may happen, guys, that some of you are explicitly interested in just Power BI. So at my current company, I realize there is a special Power BI team. I mean, my manager is managing multiple teams, right? So I am in the data team, but my manager is also managing a team which is called as Power BI team, which is just expected to create Power Apps and dashboards and things like that. So that is also a really good option, provided you are really interested in creating dashboards. There is not much coding, not much technical part involved in there. But still, I have seen people working on that aspect for 3, 4 years straight in their career. And in my previous company, I have also seen one guy who was just working on the database side for like 5 years. So it depends on which path you guys want to choose. I'm just telling this to you because this is something that I've seen in industry, in my experience with my colleagues and things like that. So you can go into the field of data analyst, you can go into the field of data scientist, but if you personally think that you just want to pick up one tech stack and you just want to work with that tech stack, that is also an option which is easily available for all of you guys, right? Then the third session that we had on last Wednesday, in that session, the first 1.5 hours or majority of the session was actually about your project work. So if you correctly remember, there were three projects that I had given you, one related to marketing, one related to finance, and one related to HR. Correct, guys? Do you remember this?
Yes, madam.
Yes, perfect. So basically, two of them are with regards to classification problems. One of them, like two of them are with regards to regression. One of them is with regards to classification algorithm. The official problem statement is that you can complete any one of the project. So officially, it is up to you which project you want to pick up. I had spent a really good amount of time in walking all of you guys through the things that were available in there. Right, I have really spent a good amount of time in that, and there was like a week's gap. So there was a really long weekend that you guys got. If you remember in the last session, I told you that there is a really good weekend coming Thursday. I think the holiday was postponed to Friday, but still Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, like 4 days were there. And the reason why we kept this session today is because we want all of the learners to come up with their doubts, especially with regards to the project if you have any. And the second thing is with regards to the general module of data science that is there, right, from module 1 to module 21. So the thing in here is that the main agenda for today's session is that we will be discussing your questions and doubts with regards to either the course curriculum in general or with regards to the project work that you were doing. Like if you guys have started the project work, you're stuck at a particular point and you need some help or guidance on that. That is also a thing that we can complete. That is the first section of our session for today. Second thing in here is that we will get started with LinkedIn, resume optimization and things like that, right? So yes, guys, now it is your time. You tell me your questions, you tell me your doubts. We can have a really good interaction on that.
For a complete website application, so what we need to do, I mean, in the environment side and the front end and the back end.
Okay, so for the website development, I think I will not be a really good person because this is a course curriculum for data science. Website development, front end development, there is one application that I actually developed. So basically what happens is that this is more of something that comes into uh, full stack development rather than data science. So in full stack development, there are three things. First is what is being shown to you, that is front end. HTML and CSS scripts are being used for that front end. Then there is database which actually stores the data. Then there is backend where the actual logic, where the actual codes are being developed. And then there are REST APIs, which are like the connecting pipelines, which just connect all the things. They transfer the request, whatever is the user requesting, to the backend. Then backend gives that request to the database and whatever is the relevant data. So for example, whenever you open your mobile application for banking, and if you see that you want to check the balance, that request is transferred from your mobile application through REST APIs to the backend. Backend is kind of transferring that to the SQL Server database that is available in here. Then SQL Server database will retrieve the relevant information, send it back in here, and this will display it back in here. So that is like kind of the logic, but I think full stack development is not a good thing to discuss in here. If you can focus on data science, that would be of great help. So typically in data science, whatever are the modules that you completed, predictive ML algorithms, supervised, unsupervised, then other techniques, statistics, probability, your project work, basically. The basic aim of this session is to discuss doubts with your project.
Okay, for the same, for the data science. So we use Python and what could be the front end for this? We practiced with Streamlight and Django and Flask. So with the combination of this, how we can move from.
So basically what happens is that when you're working with the data science part, there are two things. There are two separate roles in here. One is the data scientist position, and the second is full stack data scientist. These two are different positions. So what happens is that in data science, let us say that there is a predictive algorithm that you have created, which is predicting the optimal discount percentage that you can give on a product on Amazon. Let us say that you're working as a data scientist in Amazon, and your problem statement is to predict the optimal discount percentage for different products, and that algorithm is expected to run 4 times a day, hypothetically saying. So what happens in here is that the front end part that you are seeing, Django and everything, that is a completely different tech stack. Because see, what will happen is that whatever are the mobile applications or website applications, those mobile or website applications, whatever is the discount percentage that they are displaying, this is carried from REST APIs. I mean, it is carried from the SQL Server database information through REST APIs to the front end part. Your job would be directly to give your predictions into that SQL Server tables. So let us say that there is a mobile. The optimal discount percentage you think from demand and supply and all the things is 20%. So this information of 20% would be given by your predictive algorithm into this. I mean, it will be inserted from your predictive algorithm into the SQL Server databases. That's it. That's the only part that you're expected to do. Insert, update the data in SQL databases. Other things will automatically take care of themselves because they are connected to REST APIs. And second point in here is that it is your responsibility to be aware of this part that different projects, different teams, different companies are using completely different architectures. So some of the companies might be working with Django, some of the companies might be working with Java, JavaScript. That has nothing to do with data science. Data science is a totally independent field in which the main aim is generally to predict something. It is just that how those predictions are to be utilized, that will be clear from the idea of the data architecture that is there. Right. So you are not expected to do anything on front end or back end. You are just expected to insert the data at appropriate places from where it is being transferred to front end. Generally like this. This is something that I have done in industry. So my predictive algorithm was actually predicting the things, and it was inserting into the one of the tables of the SQL Server databases, which was connected to the front end application through APIs. So as soon as I used to update the data in there, if I would refresh the site, the data was getting updated in there. That's it. Right. So it depends. As you work with different companies, different architectures, you will get acquainted with those things.
So Pranav, actually, my question is about we were creating the project report, right? So while we were creating the project report, like as you have mentioned, I need to create the content and all those, and then you have mentioned about the tables, table of figures and graphs and all those, right? So when it comes to the graphs and figures, like what I actually need to put in the report for the graphs and tables.
I will explain you. So what happens is that there are total 14 to 16 steps, right? Approximately 14 to 16 steps in
Yes.
creating an end-to-end ML algorithm. Out of
Yes.
which one of the very important steps that people generally omit is EDA. So
Mm-hmm.
even if you are creating a linear regression algorithm, right? You need to
Mm-hmm.
first find in EDA that there is a linear pattern in the data. There is a linear additive relationship. So every machine learning algorithm with which you guys are working, that
Mm-hmm.
algorithm is capturing some definite pattern. So if the pattern is
Mm-hmm.
linear, only then linear regression algorithm should be applied and it will work well. Otherwise, you will not get good results.
It will not work. Okay.
Right. So EDA is really responsible. So there are so many different machine learning algorithms available out there. And I have seen a lot of people, they don't focus on EDA. They directly create all the possible models that are available. And whichever is the best model, they try to optimize it. I have
Mm-hmm.
seen people like that. But that is a totally wrong approach because you first need to identify the pattern that is available in the data through EDA, you have to give proper relevant proofs that here I saw this pattern, here I saw this pattern. There's a lot of brainstorming that you need to do in that EDA. So
Okay.
by doing that, I mean, while doing that, whatever graphs that you create, whatever tables that you create, maybe you might create a pivot table. It may happen,
Mhm.
right? So whatever that analysis you do, that is something that we want in there. So you can add a table, you can add a graph, you can add a visual, and anything that will really give a good insight about why you chose a particular approach for the predictive algorithm or the ML modeling part. That is
Okay,
expected.
okay, so totally the EDA part will comes under this tables and figures, so not more than that. So it's supposed to give the EDA part in here, and also while I'm creating the report and all those, right? So basically now I'm choosing the Google Colab this because I haven't like I don't need the external database, or I don't need the external things, right? Because they have my CSV in my drive. So basically, I'm using that. So for the report kind of stuff also, I can use the text columns in the right. So first I can create the report for the project, and then I can deploy the codes, and also for each and every different ML models, I need to pre-process my data. So I can perform all those steps in the collab itself, right?
Yeah. Whatever steps you guys want to perform, you can use Colab, you can use Jupyter Notebook. It kind of depends on you which software or which IDE you guys are comfortable with. That doesn't make any difference.
Okay, so first I need to do the EDA part, and then I need to develop the ML algorithm or something, and then I need to create the results. After that, I need to focus on the inferences, and then I need to create the report with all this, like considering all this, then I need to go for the report, right?
Correct.
Or I'm
No, correct,
okay,
correct. So don't
okay.
touch the report unless and until your analysis is concrete. Because what happens is that there are a lot of to's and fro's that you will see. So you will try
Mm-hmm.
with this is not working, then you will try with this, then you will try to do feature engineering or something like that.
Okay.
So first you complete your journey, then create a draft for that journey. So what is a report? Report is basically something that is expecting us to give the key insights as well as
Mm-hmm.
how this journey was completed. So I have given the same data to your batch, right? I can
Mm-hmm.
guarantee you that if the learners are not copying, everybody will have different models, everybody will have different journey, everybody will have different graphs. It's more or less that can be overlapping, I agree, but everybody should actually get a different portion because data science is like a state of art. It is dependent on you. What is the threshold limit for detecting outliers or removing outliers? Are you removing them or repeating them? So everything requires critical reasoning. Like there is nothing wrong, there is nothing right. It is just that what you feel and whether that logic is acceptable in the given problem statement, given domain or not,
Okay.
right? So that is what I want all of. So you should be able to convince that you. So report is to evaluate. Like in simple terms, if I want to tell this, a report is present in there to help the interviewers evaluate your critical thinking and your logic building system. So whatever is this, so whenever there is a problem statement that is coming, guys, you would have observed that it is not only about coding. So doing is one thing and thinking on what should we do, that is which is called brainstorming, that is another thing. So how good is your brainstorming? That is basically something that people can evaluate from your report. So it should be like a story that how you started, what approach came in your mind, why you think that this is a better approach. Then you moved ahead with that approach, that model, that pre-processing technique, what you found out. Then whatever you found out based on that, what were the next steps that you took. So that is like a journey which you have to portray.
Okay. Sure. Yeah.
And believe me, it is really interesting, to be honest with you.
Yeah, actually, we have got the project email, I think 2, 3 days back only, and like yesterday only I started to do. So like I'm going and brushing up all those. So once I've done with brushing only, okay. So I'm getting an idea about it, and then I'm going and looking at this chapter once again, and then I'm coming and developing it. So this is how I'm doing now.
Yeah, I totally understand it because you guys have just learned the concepts, just learned the things. So I cannot expect that, okay, you are done with this, so directly you will create it. It is 100% true. So I have experience. People who have experience, they have a different scenario. But even if I would have learned Tamil, so when I learned Tamil for the first time, it was not that I directly went and created. I did this, then I saw, okay, I'm not clear with this. Let us go back to this chapter. Let us go back to this video. So there is a lot of to and fro, and this is a really honest answer. But the more you do this to and fro,
Mm-hmm.
right now, the lesser this to and fro you will have to do when you go in industry. Right. So now you can go to the chapters, you can revise the concepts, you can see the data pre-processing techniques and things like that. But when you
Yes.
get the second round of a data scientist job role, that time also you can do it. But when you get an interview, in that interview you cannot search on Google,
Yeah.
right? When you are in an interview and you are expected to explain your work, why you did this, at that point of time there is no going back, right? Then and there itself, in a minute
Yes.
you will have to answer the question. So that is the reason we have given multiple projects, because if you guys have time, even I don't know when is your project report submission date, and is there any person who would be evaluating this, because I am not evaluating it. So the
Mm-hmm.
person who is giving it is different, always different from the person who is evaluating it. So what I want all of you guys to do is that there is a good amount of work that I have already shared with you, so try to do it, right? Even
Sure.
after, so do the first part, try to prepare the report, be clear with your minimum expected work, but after that try to do other things, because it will help you, right? Because whatever are the other things, those things will help you like anything later on.
Sure.
Any other questions, guys, that you are having? And
Also, excuse me.
yeah, tell me.
Yeah, so hereafter, while doing the project, somewhere if we are stuck or something, so we will connect to GUI people only, or so hereafter we won't be able to connect with you, right?
I think yes. I mean, if there are a lot of people who want a group doubt clearance session or something like that, then you can get in touch with course coordinators. But officially, this
Mhm.
is the last session with me.
Okay.
Maybe if you have any questions, I can reply on email, but I don't think Google people will
Ah,
schedule a session
okay.
with me unless and until there is a good number of people requesting for that.
All right, all right. And one more thing, not about this. I just out of my curiosity, I'm asking, like you during interviews and all, like in ML algorithm, and all those ML algorithms and all, there are a lot of when we are learning it in detail, like we used to learn the all those what we call mathematics behind that, right? All those how the things are working and all those things. And coming to when we are doing a project and all, we will just use the codes. So
Right.
you will.
No, it is not that you will just use the codes. The thing in here is that when you do it, I will explain you the logic for that. Like your question is that, okay, when will that mathematics help us? I think that is your question, right?
Not exactly. I mean, mathematics, the mathematics behind that particular thing. Okay, we should know that. I got it. But I was about to ask is like, usually during interviews and all, people will ask to
Yes,
explain
yes,
the
yes,
mathematics behind. Yes.
yes. The reason why they
Okay.
will ask is because, see, when you take example of decision trees, Decision tree
Mhm.
is you should know actually what is being done at the back end. So see, there are two things. First is the logic, how that
Yeah.
algorithm is working. You will be
Yes.
able to get the logic of any ML algorithm only when you know the ins and outs of that. So what are the mathematical equations? What is the workflow? What are the steps? I mean, how that algorithm is working.
Working.
And programming in any language or programming or your computers will help you to apply that logic on a huge amount of data which is manually not possible. So the only help that you can get with Python or with your laptop is
Mhm.
that whatever is the way to use decision trees will do the work.
Okay.
That will be applied on big data. So if I give you 10 data points, you can apply decision tree on that, right? So you can calculate that. I mean, if I give you, actually the answer is yes, anybody can create a decision tree or a flowchart like structure. But when I give you 10 million data points,
Okay.
nobody can do it, right? So you will have to give that work to a computer itself. So computer will do that work. So what happens with Python is that it will just do the computational work for you. Programming is used to reduce the computational efforts. But brainstorming how at the back end that thing is going on. Because if you want to create an optimal algorithm, you need to know how that algorithm is expected to work. What
Yeah.
programming will help you is just doing that work. So that is what it is about.
Okay. Okay.
So what
So
happens is
like,
these, yeah.
yeah, go on. Sorry.
So what happens is that these things are not useful at the beginning stage. When you are like just creating a basic ML algorithm, then these mathematical background and everything will not come into picture a lot. But when you are into the optimization phase, so there is a saying in ML that creating an algorithm with 70% accuracy is really simple. Getting that 70 to 80 is some amount of hard work. 80 to 85, 90 is a lot of hard work. And 90 to even 92 may take decades. So initial level optimization from 70 to 80, 80 to 90, that can come within a few weeks or within a few months. But the later, even 1% after 90, that can take us the level of minute analysis that you need to do on that, right? That is something which is really awesome. So there it will make a difference. So with the basic knowledge, what happens is that there are data scientists who are working with a pay scale of 5 LPA, 7 LPA, and 50 LPA to 70 LPA as well in India. So what is the difference between them? The difference is that one of them can create it with 80 and another one can create it with 90. So that 10% difference of a very big amount accounts to a lot of them. Right, guys? So let us say that your total transactions in any company where you're working based on your ML model, if it is $1 billion, 10% of $1 billion, very big amount of hypothetical example. So companies are very happy to pay that guy or girl who is increasing the accuracy by anything. Even 1% matters a lot for them. Yes, I think there was one of the members speaking.
Yeah, so basically, like you said about the monthly part, right? So yeah, they won't ask that kind of a formula kind of thing. Like for example, if, they were asking about me, and decision supposed to, give an explanation about how the decision tree works and what are all the techniques or what are all the parameters or hyperparameters that can be used in decision tree. That's what I supposed to say, or like that is some kind of a formulas, or that is a lots of things were there, right? So do I have to give the formulas to them also?
So it depends, to be honest with you, if you are applying for the data scientist position for the first time, it may happen that they are evaluating you based on formula also because nobody has so you have to go from scratch. So the first position that you get into industry, there you will be always evaluated on basic things like do you at least know the formula of entropy like that. As you work for 3-4 years, as you go into senior data scientist positions, nobody will ask you these basic things. Then they will go into complex ones. So that is why I always ask the learners that depending on your experience that you already have, the interview will go on, right? So when if you are a complete fresher into this, they are just expect basic level things because you actually are a fresher in that industry. Nobody can expect you complex things from you, and don't even run behind complex things because you don't have experience. And then as you move ahead with the later things, nobody will ask you what is the formula. So for senior data scientist interviews, nobody is asking the formula of anything. So it depends on what is the level of interview. So your experience and resume should prove that in the past you have been evaluated at this level and you are qualified for that. So the next interview that you have, that is above it. That is the simple explanation for this.
Sure, Pranav. And like when it comes to this, when it comes to the positions, I can see there is a various amount of roles that are available in data science itself: data analyst, data scientist, data engineer. And now I'm recently seeing about this prompt engineering. There is lots of people coming and talking about this prompt engineering, AI engineer, ML engineer, these kind of stuffs were there, right? So basically, my question is about like what is the difference, or what are all the basic things that need for applying when I'm applying for the data analyst or data scientist, or I would say data engineer. So these three roles are mainly maybe I think it's relevant to me. So like when it comes to the data science, but also as I asked you about the previous class, like I do have a experience in non-IT, but I'm working in the US healthcare industry for 4 years, and I do have a good amount of experience in there. So is that experience help me in somehow, like while I'm applying for the business analyst or data consultant role, uh, do you think that this will help me while I'm applying for BA?
Okay, so answering your second question first, that is your previous experience expected to help you? So the thing in here is that there are three things. First is the technical skills or coding skills. Second is mathematical background, and third is domain knowledge. So if you have
Okay.
worked in healthcare industry for 4 years, definitely business analyst is a role in which domain knowledge is given a lot of preference along with technical skills. So
Okay.
definitely in business analyst role, if you apply in healthcare domain, you will be rewarded. You will be definitely rewarded into this. For data consultant role, domain knowledge is not that important as the fact that you have researched and played around with the data for a lot of time in industry. So data consultant, data analyst, data scientist, if you see the titles, they are just into data, whatever is the
Mhm.
industry of the data. So in those things you may not be able to get that much leverage as you are able to get into business analyst role because of the domain, but that too when your experience comes, that is in the small industry of healthcare. So if you are completely sure and if you always keep on getting opportunities in healthcare industry, it will help. But other than that, uh, if you go for a totally different financial firm as a data scientist, that will never help you. That is the honest answer for this. So hope for the fact that whatever is the previous experience that you are having, that is coming into picture. But this field of data is a totally different field, right? Data analyst, data scientist, data engineer. Here you are expected to work on totally different kind of projects, totally different kind of tools, totally different kind of experience. So healthcare knowledge is not expected to come in here unless and until you are working on a predictive ML algorithm that is into the same domain. Next answer to your question is that there are, and this is a very important question, and a lot of learners ask this to me. So, data analyst, right? Data scientist, machine learning engineer, and the last is data engineer. So to be honest with you, I have worked with all of these profiles individually in my career, all of them. So data analyst is, so first of all, let me tell you seniority wise, what is the difference? So data analyst is a totally beginner level profile in here, right? Data analyst is a totally beginner level profile. If you are going into analytics industry, DA is the thing that you can target, right? Data scientist is a mid-senior position in which you are expected to, along with the technical skills, there is a lot of managerial component because you are expected to manage some of your teams. So that is definitely something that comes into picture in here. Okay. Next thing in here is ML engineer. ML engineer is exactly the data scientist without skills or without interacting with people or without domain knowledge. So let us say some of you guys are not having any knowledge with insurance industry. Then you cannot become a data scientist in that domain because you don't know the domain, how insurance industry works. But if you have the necessary technical skills like Python, SQL, and so on and so forth, then you can become an ML engineer in that. That is a definitely good try that you can have in there. Other than that, the data engineering is a totally different field in which you are expected to provide the data basically. So your journey is not into analyzing the data, creating the models, creating the dashboards or analysis. Data engineering is a totally different field in which you are expected to work on advanced tools and softwares. And to be honest with you, be very advanced tools and softwares like Apache Airflow, LinkedIn Data Hub, takes some data orchestration tools, and you are expected to provide for the data. So you are expected to create data pipelines. So you take the data from the client, you save it in your database, then you feed it to other things. So data engineering is more into the architecture side and providing the data side, whereas the other three things are basically into analyzing the data. First point. Second point in here is that for becoming a data analyst, you should be good with Python, you should be good with SQL, and at least one data visualization tool like Power BI or Tableau. That is more than sufficient for data analysts. For data scientists, you need all of these skills, Python, SQL, data visualization tool, with some experience on your paper, right? With some experience on your paper. And machine learning engineer is like a very advanced technical field, like people who generally complete BTech in CS and MTech in AI ML or something like that, they become ML engineers. Because if you see the job role of an ML engineer, there are so many advanced technical things, like you should be aware of transformer architecture, right? You should be aware of large language modeling, and basically there are many advanced concepts that all of you guys are expected to be aware of in ML engineering. So ML engineering can be done only when you properly, like you have a very good background. I personally feel in the field of data science, and I mean you have worked in industry for a few months or something like that, right? So if you are a beginner, don't try for ML engineering position because ML engineering is like way too technical according to me. You should have a lot of experience in there. You should have a lot of study. And I have seen your course curriculum, whatever you have learned, that is not sufficient for, like you can become a entry level ML engineer, but you cannot become an advanced ML engineer because there are a lot of things in advanced ML, right? Next thing in here is for becoming data engineer, you should be good with SQL. You should be good with some data orchestration tools like Apache Airflow. You should be good with Jenkins. You should be good with Informatica, right? There are some other scheduling tools that you need to be good with. You may also be expected to work with AWS, right? So it totally depends on what you are expected to work with, right? Another thing in here is the experience. So data analyst, as a fresher, you can apply for data analyst positions. There may be one or two positions that you may apply. I don't know 100% on this. Even for ML, that is the same. And for data engineer, it is also the same. So generally what I have seen in industry is that people start as data analyst, and then whatever is the work that they preliminarily did in the data analyst position, those guys just extend that into either data scientist or data engineering field. So I think this should answer your question, right?
Yeah, totally. Now I got clarity because, I thought of applying for a business analyst kind of role because that might help me to crack the interviews easily. I thought of, but now I've got a more clarity about what I need to do. Yeah, thank you.
Any other questions, guys?
Yeah, Pranav, I have a question. Before applying for data scientist or data analyst jobs, uh, on which concepts should I focus more?
So before applying for data analyst and data scientist, I will personally recommend all of you guys to focus more on SQL, because SQL is something which is very important and it is definitely a tech stack on which you would be evaluated, point number one. And point number two is that you should be good with Python, right? Basic, right? Python programming, data structures in Python, basic functions, basic algorithms and things like that. And if you want to become if you want to go into like ML modeling or DS later on, then the ML part, supervised and supervised classification, regression, and so on and so forth. So what happens is that in data analyst positions, you will not be evaluated a lot on the in-depth mathematical background. You will be just evaluated on whether you can do it or not. Right.
Yeah, okay. If you have a better mathematical background, if you have a good mathematical background, which position should I apply for?
If you have a better, if you have a, see, in DE, there is no, in data engineering, there is no mathematics needed,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I personally feel if you have a really good mathematical background, if you know matrix calculation, eigenvector, singular vector decomposition, and I mean, if you are good with engineering level mathematics,
Mm-hmm.
then DS is the field. Because in ML, there is not much mathematical background expected. In ML, there is a lot of coding experience and a lot of theoretical knowledge about the different architectures of algorithms expected. So if you are very good with mathematics, then DS is the position for you, data scientist.
Yeah, actually, I'm good with mathematics, but some of the concepts in our course curriculum are not that clear to me. I think it would take some time for me to refresh all those things.
Got it, got it, got it.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's why I'm asking, on which concepts should I focus more?
So I think as I told you, eigenvectors, eigenvalues, singular vector decomposition, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then more around statistics, probability, random variables. That is
Okay,
also something that will help you.
okay.
Bayes theorem will help you,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I think that should be it.
Okay, okay. Thank you.
Yes. Any other questions, guys?
Can you give us a common question that asked during interview in a day, DA and DA?
See, common questions, I think it would be better if you get in touch with course coordinators. I hope they should have a document for that, because see, the course curriculum is very big and I don't know on which topics you would be evaluated. I mean, there is linear regression, logistic regression, polynomial regression, regularization, SVM, KNN, k-means clustering, right? There is probability, there is statistics. There are basically a lot of things on which you may be evaluated, and for every topic there is a question, even in SQL. So when I conduct the full sessions in the main boot camp, I always tell this to all the learners that in that session itself, I will give, like if I'm having a session for linear regression, then in linear regression, what are the questions that are being asked in interviews to me, or that could be asked by me to interview to the people who came for interview, sorry. So I think you should visit some websites if possible, or you should get in touch with course coordinators if they have certain document which can give them an idea about this. I think they would have a document for that, to be honest with you.
What website or what is there any kind of data source that you would suggest us for
Yes,
SQL or
yes. There is Analytics Vidya, which is a very good place. Then there is AD Nuggets. Then there is Kaggle, and then there is Towards Data Science. But the Towards Data Science is having some paid blogs, so you can read the free blogs from Towards Data Science and Medium.com. Definitely, these things can help.
these things will have all the things in clustered like SQL or
Everything related to TV, yes. Everything clustered, yes. Correct.
okay. So if I need to learn more about SQL, like uh, apart from my course curriculum, also I can get in touch in here so that I'll have more insight about it, right?
Correct. And if you want the databases for SQL practice, then there is a very good website where you can get the databases for practice, which is www.mood.com. It is totally open source. And here you can easily get the databases. You can write the queries in that platform. So the most important problem in practicing that is, in practicing SQL is that you are not able to get the required data, right? Or
Yes,
required database. But here there are ready-made online databases that are available. So I think definitely help. Definitely it will help.
sure.
Any other questions, guys, that you're having in here?
Pranav, and also I have asked about the prompt engineer, right? Like I've been seeing a lot and lots of ads for coming in Google studying like prompt engineer as big data works, right? I'm searching a lot about data science and stuff, so, right? So
So,
what this prompt engineering role is all about?
so prompt engineering, so obviously if you see on social media, there is a lot of hype that people create for the course curriculum that this is the thing that you should enroll and this is good or something like that. So prompt engineering, to be honest with you, is a field it is a subset of NLP, right? So prompt engineer is a person who basically works on the text data. So text to text modeling, audio to text modeling, something like that. So the basic idea in here is very simple and very straightforward, that it is your responsibility to be clear with NLP modeling. Have you guys completed some modules on NLP?
Yes, we have.
So exactly that module is basically something that will definitely help you, right? That module is basically something that is expected to help you with that particular part. So there is just a name that has been given. And because in NLP also they have extracted. So in NLP there are a lot of things. So in NLP there is chatbot development. In NLP there is spam email detections and things like that. But a special branch of NLP in which you are working on text-to-text modeling, like converting the text of one what you can say thing into another one language into another one. That is definitely something that you have to take into consideration. Is this clear?
Yeah.
So you can read more about it on the internet, but prompt engineer is like a very technical position like ML. So there are a lot of things that you guys need to be really well aware of if you want to go into depths of that, to be honest with you.
Sure. Thank you.
So it is the duty of influencers to create hype about a particular role or something like that. That is just a title that according to me, my personal opinion, that is just a title. Don't worry about it a lot. The most important thing in here is not not about the fact that prompt engineer is getting good salary. It is about what they are doing. So prompt engineers are basically the person who are more into NLP modeling. So if you are good to go with NLP concepts, then you can be good to go with that. But if you go on LinkedIn and search for prompt engineer, you yourself will see that there are not a lot of job opportunities in that particular field. Actually, to be honest with you, in all the fields that are available there, a lot of job opportunities are not there right now because the market is slightly saturated as of. So it is better to have a generalized position than moving ahead with some other things. I personally feel it like this.
Sure, Pranav. Like, I thought of, okay, the guys were saying, like, okay, you need to have a knowledge ChatGPT, that's it. So I felt like something wrong with that. That's what I asked. Thank you. Thanks for the explanation.
No, that is not wrong. See, the thing in here is I won't be saying that whatever these guys are saying it is wrong, but the number of opportunities that are available in that field and the
That,
level of
oh,
skills that are needed, there you will understand this particular part. See, what
got it.
happens in here is that you are expected to, like, it is their responsibility to portray you the things, right? Not to tell you reality. The reality is that it is your responsibility to get a detailed explanation. So the technical skills with which you are working, they are totally different. The experience that the people are expecting, that is totally different. So it is not that there is a new field that came and they are paying a lot and you can simply go into that field and it will work very well. It is not like that. So prompt engineer is like a special, I would say that it is like a special case of NLP or something like that. Right? So they are not fooling you, they are just not giving the complete information. That is
Got
what,
it.
yeah, I would tell, yeah. So I would prefer that if I would have been a beginner, seeing the complete industry, and if I would have been a beginner, I would advise you guys to be completely good to go with the data scientist, data analyst roles. There is no restriction on the domain. Probably every domain on this planet Earth, supply chain management, FMCG, marketing, insurance, healthcare, finance, banking, healthcare, every industry in this world needs data analyst and data scientist. So there is no restriction on the domain. So I mean, if you are an electrical engineer, you can only work with electrical engineering companies. If you are a mechanical engineer, you can only work with mechanical engineering companies, same with civil. But if you are a data analyst or data scientist, there is no restrictions on the companies that are available in your basket. So that
Sure.
would be a better option.
Okay, so you're suggesting us to apply for data analyst and data scientist
Roles,
as a
yes.
suggestion. Okay.
Yes, as a suggestion. And your course curriculum, the things that you learned are based around that itself. I would have suggested you DE, but there is a separate course for DE and the skills are slightly different. The expectation is slightly different. But it is a
Okay,
wonderful field. I mean, I have started in this field from scratch to like mid-level as of now. So it is a really good field. And you will never regret going into that field.
Okay.
Okay, let us take a break, guys. I need 5-10 minutes break. I have been speaking so long. Let us resume at 10:15, okay? let us continue
Sure.
that at 10:15. Thank you. So guys, am I audible to all of you? Let us get started. Am I audible, guys?
Yeah, we can.
Okay, perfect. So Rajesh, Atira, Dinesh, Molly, Raju, and Salim. So guys, any other questions or doubts that you're having? Like before going on a break, there was a really good interaction. I enjoyed that interaction. I hope all you guys also got really good insights about what kind of roles you should apply to, what are the requirements, what is the general expectation. And apart from that, is there anything that you guys want to get clear? Anybody, guys? Final call? Yes, no, guys? Anybody? If you guys are not having any questions, then I think we should get started with the next portion. Okay. So I will wait here for a minute. If you have any questions, please let me know as soon as possible, and then we will get started with the next part in here.
No questions from my side now.
No questions, perfect. Okay, so I think we are in a good to go position, right? I think guys, all of you, all of the batch is in a really good to go position for that. So the next part in here for our session is that we would be discussing on the LinkedIn part, right? So do you guys have any idea about LinkedIn? Have you guys created a profile on LinkedIn? I mean, obviously LinkedIn is something that you guys would definitely know, but have you created a profile on LinkedIn, guys?
Yeah, we do have a profiles in LinkedIn.
Okay, so what happens in here is that this is my LinkedIn profile, and definitely there are some optimization things that I can help you with. So the most important thing in here is that you can have a good professional picture in here. It is not always mandatory that you guys should have the picture with proper tie, proper formals. Semi-formal is also fine. It doesn't make any sense, right? To always have the formal picture, but make sure that it is decent enough. Like I am using a semi-formal picture, and I have never faced any issues in getting the job replies or something like that. But with that being said, I will suggest you that if possible, please try to keep a proper formal picture. That also helps. But if you have semi-formal, that is also not bad. Next thing is that here I have not added any picture, but if you are expecting to work for something, then you can add a picture. Like the most important part about LinkedIn is that whenever a recruiter is going through your profile, what is the amount of time do you think that they're spending to get the gist about you? Anybody, guys? What do you think is the average amount of time that is being spent?
1 or 2 minutes.
Exactly correct. Exactly correct. 1 or 2 minutes. So what happens is that they have so many applicants, so many people that they cannot spend 5 minutes, 6 minutes on this particular part. So what they try to do in here is that they try to quickly get the gist about what is the work that you have done. That's it, right? So what I want all of you guys to understand in here is that the profile picture is the first thing that you need to focus on. Second is the image that is available in here. Third is the contact information. So if you are willing to share your contact information, at least write your email in here so that people can contact you via email. But with that being said, I have said that I have observed that there are a lot of spam emails that you get. There are a lot of spam calls that you may get, but at least I will suggest to add emails in here so that anybody can reach you. Then here you have to write open to work. It is very important because it here that you are looking out for new opportunities, right? I have not changed it, but open to work should be there because it indicates that you're looking out for new opportunities, right? Next thing in here is that there is a description about, so there is a proper description that you are expected to give in here. What are the tech stacks? What is the project work and everything? Like this should summarize, although nobody reads it, to be honest with you. But still, it should be short, it should be crisp, it should be to the point, and it should explain that what is the situation or what is the job role for which you are perfect. So what happens is that the same HR might reject you for a particular role and the same HR might accept you for a particular role. So this about section should give her an idea that for which role you should accept and for which role you should reject this candidate. And please add your GitHub profile in here. Because what happens is that all of you guys are enrolled in here for professional work. Everybody clear on this? All of you guys are enrolled in here for the professional work to get started with. So what happens in here is that it is your responsibility to display your professional work. So I would recommend all of you guys to give link of your GitHub profile, which will really help the professionals to evaluate your course. Right now, after this is done, here are the job experiences that you can add. And in job description, try to add the location, try to add the total amount of time you have worked, and give a really brief to the point explanation about the kind of work that you did in that company, right? This is very important because people read this. This is the most important section, experience. So as you will move into senior positions or mid-level positions, you will observe that nobody is interested to see profile picture about, nobody has the time to read it. People will directly go into experience. They will see the number of years of experience that you are having in total, and they will see what is the work that you did. So here you just imagine that you have received a really limited amount of space to display the work with which you are expected to work in here. Right now, after this particular portion is done, you can add it for all the job roles basically. So this is University of Maryland. This is something that I added at the very beginning because I was not having relevant work experience at that point of time. Right? To be honest with you, even before ZDally, I have worked with 2 more companies, right? But I have not added it in here because that is not related to data scientist. That is, so one of the role is associate data analyst and other role is basically SQL developer, as I already told you. But I didn't want to add that because I left those jobs in like 5 months, both of those jobs in 5 months. So what happens is that if you leave jobs in a really small amount of time, less than a year, then it kind of creates a negative image. So try to avoid it if possible. But if you have worked in a company for more than a year, please try to include it and please try to add relevant work experience in there. Right? Definitely. Now, after this particular portion is done, the next thing that I will do is that it is very important for you to add your educational qualification because nowadays, if you see the data scientist positions, everybody is enrolled in some or the other organization going through some or the other course curriculum. But your educational qualifications are the one which nobody can easily get because you have spent a lot of time with this. So you can get certification at Google, but nobody this which I have earned in 6 years. So your educational qualifications are very important. And if you have completed your bachelor's or if you have completed your master's from a really good university, then feel free to add it. Feel free to add the details. Feel free to add the grade if it is a really good grade and if it is relevant to what you're looking for. Like I completed BTech in electrical engineering, but I never applied for a single role that is relevant to electrical engineering, and so I've not added a lot of details there. Whereas whatever I'm doing right now, it is totally based on my master's degree. So I have added the grade in there and all the other relevant things. Right, you can also add the details of the subjects that you completed, the pointers of those subjects. If you are a beginner, like I completed a lot of subjects like this: ENPM 829K, ENPM 829N, ENPM 828W, which were related to data science. So I added the details of these things in here. You can add it in experience, or you can also add it in your University of Maryland educational qualification to portray that yes, this is the kind of work that we have completed in here. So it depends on you where you guys want to add it. Right. But educational qualification, your previous experiences, if you have not left that in 3-4 months, they are something that will really help you. Now, after this particular portion is then licenses and certification. So there are a lot of places. Data Camp is like one of the really good places where you can get free certifications, and certifications are very important. So there are levels of certification, obviously. So there are some certifications which are not valued a lot. But with that being said, there are certain AWS certifications that I will recommend to all of you guys, right? So AWS has a very important certification called as Cloud Support Associate. So the reason why this type of certifications are important is because all of these types of certifications will tell an idea. These certifications are given by respected authorities. So basically it will try to sum up a lot of things for the HR. That are you having idea about basic AWS architecture? Because if you want to work with cloud-based solutions in a job role, then you should know the basic architecture of AWS. Otherwise, you will go and you will be like, I don't understand it. Give me some time. I need to study on this. So creating a predictive ML algorithm on in Jupyter Notebook is a different part, and doing the same on a cloud-based solution is a different part. Not because of your coding skills or something like that. It is because you should be aware of the interface that you're using. So AWS certifications will definitely help you, the basic level one. And these are all the list of certifications. So Data Camp is good, as I told you. And you can also add other things if possible. To be honest with you, if you have nothing much to add, then you can add some of the other certifications which may not be totally relevant. But otherwise, my experience is people feel that whatever you have done in your life, just blankly add it. But if you ask my genuine opinion, try to add only relevant experience in there. Because as I told you, there is just 1 or 2 minutes that the HR will have to evaluate your profile. So if you give relevant details, no, then they will, like, if they are having time, then they will scroll your profile. Right? If the description is short and crisp to the point, they will go to the next section. There are different sections in LinkedIn. But if you add a lot of irrelevant details, it will confuse the HR that what is this person good for, which is not something that we want. So even if you things to add in here, I will recommend you to do those things. So if you don't have license or certification related data science, get those certifications and then add it. If you don't have a lot of projects, get some projects done and then add it. But don't add irrelevant projects because it kind of negatively impacts the performance. So what happens is that the HR will then have a mindset that this particular candidate, even if you apply for 100 jobs at that company, that he is not good with anything. Whereas if you apply for a data engineering profile, your LinkedIn profile is data engineering job, I mean, and your profile is saying that this guy is good for data scientist. Whenever there is a data scientist position that comes up, the HR will approach you, right? Or if you apply, the HR will approve you for that role. So there is a very important thing available in here, or important wordings available in here called as best fit. What do you guys understand by this word best fit? In short layman language, can you explain me what is the meaning of this word best fit?
A person or a thing which is relevant to the situation or relevant to the requirement.
Exactly. So whatever is the requirement that the HR guys are having, they are having some things in their mind, right? And you, whatever is your role, whatever is your, whatever is your educational qualification, professional experience, project experience, work experience, according to all of that, actually you will fit only in some job roles. So even if you're applying for 100, 200 job roles, there is a very small, teeny tiny percentage in which you will be the best fit. So best fit is basically the person who is having exactly sufficient amount of knowledge, exactly sufficient amount of experience, and who is willing to relocate or who is willing to do the other things in there. So my expectation is that if you add a lot, my experience in here is that if you personally think that I will add a lot of things, right? I will add a lot of projects. I will make my LinkedIn profile like a essay book. That will never help you. Keep it short, keep it to the point. Your main aim is to tell you what are your educational qualification, what is your work experience, what kind of certification you have, and what kind of skills you have. That's it, done. Then it is up to HR whether she should contact you or not. So what happens is that during different market situations, it may happen that a lot of jobs are not available. Like right now, IT market is not good, to be honest with you. But it doesn't necessarily mean that you should add irrelevant projects in your profile. Another thing in here is that there may be a lot of good opportunities and a lot of applicants. Even in that situation, you may be interviewed, but you're not getting any other details. And there may be a situation in which there are a lot of job roles and the candidates are very few, in which you will get a really good amount of replies like people were getting in 2021 and 2022. So it was not the fact that your LinkedIn profile is good or you're out of the best, it is according to market situation or you are worst or something like that. It depends on the market situation. So my point in here is that whatever job roles are available, HR has a different magnifying glass to see the candidates. Whatever HRs are there, they have a typical situation. So their job is that, okay, this person has this educational qualification, good, acceptable. Okay, then move on with the next parameter. As soon as they get a parameter which is not at all acceptable, your profile is rejected. So to be honest, into your profile, already there are 4-5 jobs that would be coming later on, who are searching exactly for a guy like you. Exactly for everybody present in here. So they might have planned it, they will release the job, you will apply, and 200-300 after applying for a lot of jobs, you yourself will see that these are the 4-5 things that from which I'm getting reply. This is the salary, these are the things on which I will work. Now it is up to you which one to decide. It may happen that you will just get 1 or 2 replies, 1 or 2 job offers, and you have to select out of that. But market situation changes, and whatever I'm telling you, it will help you throughout your journey for corporate experience, right? So the tagline is that you might be expecting that I deserve this particular thing, right? You might be expecting that I deserve data scientist position, but always have a look at this fact that what is the market situation, how many jobs are there, and how many applicants are there. So it is always demand and supply. So is it the fact that a lot of people from different companies are being removed? They are available in the job market. So you might have seen that a lot of people were fired in the last few months. So those people are right now available in the job market. So even if there are a lot of job openings that are coming, first they would get hired because they have worked with a very good, they have worked with good companies in the same profile. So you have to understand according to the current market situation, demand and supply gap, that what is your relative positioning in that market. And according to that, you have to apply for jobs and get the best role possible at that particular point of time. So I'm counseling all of you guys on this particular part only to make sure that you are aware how this thing works. So 2-3 years after this, it may happen, or even 6 months after this, it may happen that there are so many job roles that are coming that you are having multiple options on your table, one with 10, one with 15, one with 20. It depends. Like nobody can tell you what is exactly going to happen. Is it clear, guys? Everybody clear on this?
Yes, Pranav. And also, like the Gooby certification we get, right? So we can add it in the certifications, or we can add it in the education. Does this have?
No. Certification is a different. Education is a different part. You don't have educational qualification from Gooby. You have a certification from Gooby. That these two are different things. Please get this part. Educational
Okay.
qualification is your bachelor's, master's, or even a PhD if you are doing it. Licenses and certification is another part, totally different part. License means
Okay.
like there are a lot of people, like if you want to go into some business and you need some local license or something like that, that will come in licenses. Certification is like what I have added in here. I don't have any license. So in civil engineering, generally people get the license to get at government tenders. So if there is any civil engineer person, they can add their licenses in here. In electrical engineering also, a lot of my people are working with government projects. They have some licenses in there. You can add it in here, right? And
Okay.
certification is something that you already know, but education and
Yeah.
certification is a totally different thing.
Yeah, because I had the doubt because of like I've attended a resume building a session in Bowie. They said you can add in education. I thought of this was little bit of the difference. That's what I've confirmed.
You can add it. So see, every person has a different perspective. So whatever LinkedIn session I am taking or whatever that other person, every person has a perspective. My perspective is that in educational qualification, only your bachelor's, master's, or PhD degree should.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay.
Other things are in licenses and certifications according to me. But you're free that if you think that it is relevant and it will give more preference in here, you can add it. But to be honest with you, it never happens like that, right? So even if you add it in here, wherever you add, you will always get the replies of only those jobs for which you are relevant. And I'm telling this to you after using LinkedIn for 3-4 years. So there are like just having a look at the job opportunity with which you are working, you will be able to tell after 2-3 years that whether you will get a reply from this job or not. Just in 2-3 years, I'm saying. So my experience in here says that regardless of whether you add it in here, it is just about giving or conveying the information in the shortest amount of time and in the cleanest format as possible. You cannot change that information. You cannot change the fact that that is a certification, this is a degree. So it never matters like that to them. Okay, then there are certain projects you can add a lot of relevant projects that you have completed in here, which is really a good project to work with. If you have done some volunteering experience, you can add it in here. I don't think this matters. Like nobody will even have a look at that. But when I created my LinkedIn profile around 2015-16, I had a lot of certifications in this, so I just added it, but I don't think it makes any difference, right? Projects definitely make a difference because they will give a detailed idea about the projects that you have created, but not this volunteering. But still, it is like rather than having a blank part, if you have, you can add it to make it look cleaner, but even if you don't have it, it doesn't make any sense. Next important thing in here is this very, 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 very important. What happens is that LinkedIn has a set of 50 skills that you can add, right? In LinkedIn, there are skills that you can add using this plus button. Now, what happens is that there are skill quizzes. If you saw in the previous part, take skill quiz. So what happens in this skill quiz is that if you pass the examination conducted by LinkedIn, then they will give you pass LinkedIn skill assessment badge. So you guys might be thinking that what is the use of this badge? And believe me, this badge is the most important thing on LinkedIn. Because what happens is that whenever there is a job role that is coming, whenever I'm saying, then what happens is that you will get this information that out of the 10 skills that the lister has mentioned in here, you are having 8 of them. How will LinkedIn come to know that you are having 8 of them? From the skill assessment quiz that you have completed. HR will also get this information that the job that you have posted, for that there is an applicant named XYZ who has 8 out of 10 skills. So the greater is the amount of skills for that you have for that job, the greater is the chance that you will get the reply from that HR. So if you want to maximize your chances of getting reply, then I personally think that this is the best way possible. Because this is the reason why this was created is to make sure that there is a particular standard that the person is meeting in a particular skill. So what happens is that I think there is a 99 percentile concept available in LinkedIn. So if you are in the top 1 percentile only, then you will get that badge. Unless and until you are not in that top 1 percentile, you will not get that badge. And believe me, this was 1 year back, 1 year or 1.5 year back. There were 15 questions in all of them, and each question had a separate timer of 1 minute 10 seconds. So are you getting my point? It is just like a 20-25 minutes quiz. But believe me, all the questions that are available in here, they are challenging. And at least you need 12 to 13 questions to write. Like I needed 12 to 13 questions, right? So there had been instances when I got 11 questions right and I was not given certification. And once you're not able to get that, you will be able to get the next quiz after 1 week or 1 month, something like that. So this is not a joke. It is not that you will go to that quiz, you will solve it. It is very simple. You will get that message. It is not like that. They are not very simple questions to warn you. And if you fail, then for the next 1 week or 1 month, I don't remember the correct time, you will not be able to give that quiz again. So that is the reason whenever you are giving that quiz, give it with full confidence, give it with full preparation so that you get that batch in the first go itself. And believe me, you will require some revision for this. It is not very simple. So when I'm applying for ML jobs, for data scientist jobs, if ML is a skill that is being mentioned in here, so it will tell the interviewer that this person has a skill in ML, right? And other thing is that whatever are the people with which you're working, maybe your mentors, maybe your colleagues, maybe your project coordinators, try to get the details from them. All right, try to get all the details from those people with which you are expected to work in here. So here, this is the skill assessment quiz. Then R is another one. I have 18 endorsements for R. So what are endorsements used for? Endorsements are an effective way which tells the interviewer or which tells the HR that I have worked with this particular person and he is good with this particular one. Right? That is basically the most important thing about assessments. Right? So assessments are very important for all of you guys. Please try to get a really good idea about all of those things. Right? So R, Transact SQL, Java. So you can see that the endorsements for Java are very less, but the endorsements for other things are very good. Right? MySQL, you can see 16 endorsements. Maybe if some of you guys endorse me, it will become 20. Hadoop, Power BI. So basically, you will observe in here that there are many things available in here, but try to make a list first of all the relevant tech stacks according to your profile that you're looking for. And then once you get the relevant profiles in there, then try to make a plan that first I will complete this, second I will complete this, third I will complete this. Right? And you can always display just top 3 skills in here. Right? You can just display top 3 skills in here. So I think right now they are just showing 2, but you have an option to show top 3 skills in there. So any doubts in this? So by the end of this session, at least what I'm expecting from you guys is that you will take the skill assessment quiz very seriously, because it tells the interviewer that what is the position of this particular person. It is very important. Any doubts, any questions on this, guys?
Clear.
Yeah. Is that you can try to take as many recommendations as possible, because this is also something that helps, right? Whatever people you have worked with, maybe from your academic institution, maybe from your previous job experience, maybe from your internship. If the person is willing, a lot of time what happens is that people are happy with your work, but they don't give that recommendation. Right? So please try to get in touch with them. Please try to convince them to give the recommendation, because that recommendation stays forever in your profile, which will really help you like anything. Right? Which will really help you like anything, because what happens is that endorsements, skill assessment quiz, recommendations, these things are giving a rough idea to the person who is to the HR of that particular company that whether I can trust this guy with whatever he has mentioned in there or not. So anybody can create a fake profile in there, right? But the endorsements, the genuine people who have endorsed that person, the number of people who have endorsed that person, and other, like, it creates a overall positive vibe about your profile, which I personally think everybody among you guys should be aware of.
These recommendations are basically tells about
Recommendations basically tell that, so Ashish Pandey was a person with which I have worked like in the last year. It tells that there are people with which this person has worked and what that person has to tell about this individual. So it is like a small interaction. So at Edelweiss, these are the people. Sharvari, then at Edelweiss there is Abhishek, and then there are other people at Edelweiss. There was Neeraj, ex Edelweiss. Right now he's in HDFC Bank. And my second last place there was Prabhu, with whom I worked. So how are the colleagues thinking about this particular person? That is something that all of you guys, this Diogradis Kibera is basically was a professor for ENPM 829 during my master's. So it basically gives an idea that what are the people who thinking about this person, with whom that person has actually worked. Right? Is this clear?
yes.
Perfect. Now after this, here you can add all the courses that you have completed. Right? So whatever courses you guys have completed, all of that will come in here. So don't try to add all the 40 courses that you have completed. Please don't try to add. Try to add only the relevant courses. It doesn't mean that you have not completed 40 courses. It basically means that out of the thing that I have completed, only these are the relevant things with which you are expected to work with. Is this clear, everybody, guys?
At this point of time, like certification and courses, like if I'm doing one course, ultimately I'm going to get the certification, right? So, what I add in
So see,
certification and
in
what
the
I add in
certification,
course.
so in certification, basically you should add the things which are just with regards to exam, right? So basically there is no coursework for this introduction to Spark in our using Spark Live. There is directly a test. You give that test, you get the certification, relevant certification. Whereas in coursework, you have to get enrolled in that particular coursework for 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, and then there is some dignity, authority to justify that you are having knowledge in this. So that is the difference between course and certification. Is it clear, guys, now?
Yeah. So, this GUI course and everything will be comes under courses after
Exactly.
this. Like,
It
okay.
should be coming under courses because there is some authority that is certifying this part. Correct. Yes. Then honors and awards. So there were a lot of events during my undergrad in which I participated, and I was good with chemistry, so I got some first prizes. So honors and awards are very important. People have a look at it, that where you have got awards or something like that. That is something which is very, 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 very important, right? So if you have received an award during your work at a particular company or something like that, then that is basically something that will definitely come into picture, right? So please try to pay attention to this part as well. Test scores are basically something that also give a really good idea about the level of a candidate, because you can speak really good, you can be really good in the interview, but when it comes to the core part of what is your educational qualification, what are the marks that you have scored, nobody can fill in the place for lesser marks. Always remember this part, guys. Nobody can fill the blank space created by lesser marks. So what are the marks that you have scored? What is your undergrad GPA? What is your postgrad GPA? So a lot of people have less undergrad and postgrad GPA, and you think that I will fill in for this with this particular part. It never gets filled in. right? There is nothing that can fill in the space that is being created because you are having less marks in something. Marks are marks. At the end of the day, marks are marks, degree is degree. You cannot do in that. So if I have a lesser score in GRE, and then I say that I have received a silver medal in mathematics Olympiad, it doesn't make any sense, right? So this cannot comprehend if I have lesser marks in the GRE quant. Please remember this. Are you getting my point, guys? So don't be under the impression that lesser marks would be comprehended or would be filled in by some other achievements that I have. It never gets. Okay. Any questions in here, guys?
No.
No? Okay, perfect. Language is also very important then, because a lot of times what happens is that if you go to abroad, there are requirements like German, there are requirements like French. So if you guys have some bandwidth in your schedule, I will recommend you to complete at least two foreign languages, German and French, if possible, German on priority, because there are good opportunities on in this particular country, and they require you to be good with German. Other than that, even in Indian markets, it helps because a lot of people, they don't always talk in English in company. So it is not mandatory that if you will go, they will always talk with English. It may happen that they are also using Hindi. So it is also something which helps, and the organizations with which you are affiliated, I don't think that makes a lot of difference. Right? Any questions on this? Anybody, guys? So even I think after going through my profile, I think there is a lot of editing that I can do because there are a lot of things that I have added. What happens is that once you start getting jobs, you really have a really good look at other things that are presented there, right? So is there anything, guys, that I can help you with now? So LinkedIn profile discussion is done. So if you go in the jobs portion, you yourself will see the part, right? You yourself will see that out of these many jobs. So see, your profile matches this job. How? By the skills that I have added and by the skills that I'm good at, right? So that is basically something that I can guide you on. Any other things that you guys want to ask me in the last few minutes?
Do we have any suggestions in creating a resume?
Do I have any suggestions? I'm sorry, I was on mute.
Yeah, do you have any suggestions in creating a resume or
In creating a right. In creating a resume, there is a special session, there is a special tool available in here at Boomi, because what happens is that um, creation of resume is also a very serious task, and I think it should be done by the specialist in here. Because what happens is that whenever you're creating a resume, it automatically gets passed for information, and that information is being sent to ML algorithms, and an ML algorithms tell whether this candidate should be called for interview or not. Right? So this is what is happening nowadays in HR industry. So I think there is a special session for that which would be conducted later.
got it? Yeah.
Right? Because your resume is the only thing that would be analyzed in detail, and then the ML algorithms will tell, because nowadays there are so many candidates that a single person cannot manually go through it. So in a lot of companies who use Workday as the platform, whatever is the detail that you fill, that gets into the ML model. That's it, done. Right? Any other questions, doubts, concerns? So I think if you guys are not having any questions, then it is a really good time to wrap up the session.
Sure, Pranav, and thank you. Thanks a lot for your inputs and informations about everything. Yeah.
Yes, I really hope that this was helpful to all of you guys, whatever sessions we conducted. So thank you for attending. You guys were a great audience. If possible, try to send me request on LinkedIn. I would really love to be in touch with all of you guys, right? It definitely will help in the later stages.
And I forgot to tell you that I've already given a request to you in LinkedIn, Pranav.
Okay, I will see this. Right, just give me some time.
Sure. I think 2 or 3 days
Then
before
I'll
itself,
accept
I've
it.
given you.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. Let us wrap up the session then. Bye.